Hello, and welcome to Sky Career Talks, here where we get to discuss why communicating and connecting with Rutgers alumni is so important. Today, we will be learning about Dylan McNulty, a Rutgers graduate from 2021 with a Bachelor of Arts in Communication, specializing in strategic public communication and public relations. Dylan works as the Senior Account Coordinator for Taft Communications. Here, we get to learn a little bit more what it is like to transition from being an intern to a full-time role. Hi, my name is Lane Klimak, and today I'm joined by Dylan McNulty to discuss where Rutgers alumni start their career after college. How are you today, Dylan?
I'm good. Thanks, Lane. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So, Dylan, could you start by giving me a brief overview of your career journey?
Yes, happy to. I think COVID was a big start to my career journey, and I think that really affected kind of the internships I was able to get through junior and senior year of college. But at the end of college, my senior year, I was able to get an internship at Taft Communications. It was a 3-month internship. I was really happy to get it and thought, hopefully this turns into a full-time position, but I got to put in the work to do so. So at the end of my 3 months, I was lucky enough to have done a good enough job for them, and they gave me the opportunity to be a full-time account coordinator, which was super exciting. And then a year and a half later, they were still happy with my work, and I was able to be a senior account coordinator, which is where I am today, and I'm still loving my 2.5 years at Taft Communications.
That's awesome, Dylan. And for those who are watching, I will say that Dylan is my manager at Taft Communications. So I've had the pleasure of also being an intern underneath of Dylan's senior account coordinator status. So with that being your internship experience and then, going into a full-time role, what type of technical or interpersonal skills do you think students need to start their career?
Well, I think a good mix of technical and interpersonal skills is super important. And I think I'll start with the technical side because that's what I really found to be super useful when starting my internship. And those three being writing, editing, and media relations, but I'll keep that as kind of a lighter version of it. I know writing sounds general as is, but uh, in the PR industry, all kinds of writing. It's social media posts, it's blog posts, it's articles, it's op-eds, it's trying to sound like your client. And I'd say that doesn't even account for who your audience is and what the goal of the writing is. So um, I always find writing to be a big one. And on top of that, once you get feedback on your writing, you're going to need to edit it. Your colleagues are going to send you stuff to edit. Being able to edit, being a strong editor, and also being able to give that feedback to someone, I think is super important to be able to kind of give them a sense of direction and then to frame it out better on your second or third pass at it. Nothing's perfect from the start, and I think that's another thing we have to accept. Things need to be edited, things need to be revised, and it's just a matter of taking that feedback and accepting it and then moving forward with it. And then as far as interpersonal skills, I think adaptability and time management would be two really important ones. It's a not super fast paced, but it's ever changing. There's always something different going on in our work, and whether it's helping out someone else or taking something new on, the ability to kind of prioritize and manage time will allow you to get done what you need to get done when you need it done. And I think this also allows you, kind of frees up time to be more proactive in reaching out to team members to support them and learning more about other parts of your work when you're able to get your work done and you have, some free time. It'll help you just kind of learn more and be more support of your team members or colleagues.
That's great advice to give to people. I would definitely say the way you talked about connecting with employees relates to networking. So, how important would you say networking is for the industry and for developing a student's career?
Oh, it's huge. And I know it's huge, but it really will. I mean, just the foundation of talking to people and getting out there and kind of being proactive. It'll help you get more comfortable with engaging new people, which is super important in our work. We reach out to reporters, we reach out to journalists, editors, clients, or even colleagues. Kind of being able to build those relationships and maintain them. It opens the door to opportunities and resources. When you're able to build a relationship with a reporter, next time you reach out, they'll think of you and be like, oh, that's Dylan. I remember him. He had a good story last time. Let me take a look at his email over this random Joe who's emailing me for the first time. So Uh, I'd say it's also the main reason I'm at the job today. I was able to network with a few of my colleagues, which weren't colleagues at the time, and reach out to ask them about the job. And through that, they had recommended me some courses, some certifications to take, and with that, they were confident that I was really interested in the industry and I wanted to learn more. So that opened the door for an interview, and thankfully I did well enough in my interview to where they said, "All right, let's hire him as an intern." So um, I think networking is vital, and something I wish I did more with networking is starting it earlier. I would say I'm going to blame the pandemic and kind of everything that got messed up with that. That I waited until graduation to start networking, but I think the earlier you can start networking, even if it's just reaching out on LinkedIn and shooting a note that says, "Hey, I'm Lane or I'm Dylan, and I saw you wrote this and it looks super interesting. Can you explain it to me more?" Not even doing so to look for a job, but just to show you're interested in it will really help people get familiar with who you are, and it will help you get more comfortable with how people in the industry talk and what they look for.
So you talked a little bit, about the networking opportunities before getting a job, the internship. What do you think students should know when applying for a job in communications, PR, or just, the entry level account coordinator?
What should they know when applying for those, you asked?
Yeah.
I think being able to show kind of the breadth of your knowledge is really important. I like to consider it breadth over depth because as college graduates, we don't always have the most experience or the most depth in one thing, but what we do have is a lot of experience in many different things. And I know at the School of Communication, I took a lot of different classes on a lot of different subjects that helped, whether it was strategic communications or it was more creative writing. Being able to show that I can write creatively, or being able to do it more in the format of a press release, which is a little more formal, a little more calculated, I think was super helpful in showing Taft when they were interviewing me that I could kind of bounce around and do a little bit of everything when it came to writing, but also I was able to do, because of them, they had recommended some social media certifications, and with that, I was able to show that I'm interested in social media and the nuances of that, and so kind of balancing or showing that I care more about this one thing. I don't just care about writing things. PR is more than just writing, while it is a lot of it. Showing that I could, help support on social media campaigns, digital ad campaigns, and also being able to show that I was a strategic thinker, which is a hard thing to be able to show. I don't know how to explain that one too well, other than when they come to you with questions, it's not just responding how you think they want to respond, but it's also taking it a step further and saying, "This is what I think." As a graduate or someone new in an industry, I think oftentimes we feel that we can't really give our own thoughts or opinions on things, but I actually think it's the complete opposite, and our personal thoughts and our experiences really do provide that new perspective that our colleagues might be looking for.
That's great. And I think you hit a lot of things that students may use for their future career and things like that. So looking back, graduation wasn't too long ago, but people are still struggling from, the post-pandemic and, getting themselves out there. Do you have any tips or recommendations that you would advise to students who are like developing their career and just starting out?
Yes. Uh, I think a really big one is just staying informed on the industry. And my example there would be tied to like keeping up with industry news and emerging tech. For example, AI. I think we've all heard about AI recently, but in the PR industry, AI has kind of been taken over. There's AI that can write press releases for you. There's AI that can build you media lists. It's not yet perfect, and I wouldn't recommend anyone treating that as like a final or sharing an AI generated anything, but it's becoming good enough to where it can be used as a first draft or as an example. So I've been attending AI webinars and trainings since it's come out. So knowing the do's and don'ts and the latest in the industry can really give you an advantage against other potential prospects who are also looking for the same job, and even against employees who have been working there for years. I mean, staying up with the most recent stuff, I think, is very, very important. And there's different PR newsletters, PR webinars. I know PR Council is a great organization that helps people stay informed too. So there's one. I do want to go back to writing, and I'd say practicing writing, I think, is a big recommendation I'd give to those developing their careers, because it goes back to kind of what I said before about all the different types of writing, whether it's creative, whether it's more strategic. If you're writing for a client that, she's, let's say, the lead at a nonprofit organization, it would sound different than a client who is a lead at a healthcare foundation. I mean, they just have different messaging and different talking points that you would want to know. And writing really is the core of PR. It's not all we do, but in kind of everything we do, there is an aspect of writing and messaging. So right, I talk a lot about writing, but I think writing's big. And then also, something I wish I did, but I've noticed more, and I'm impressed by people that do so, is building a portfolio. Even if your only experience is PR classes, like really, that's what mine was. You've done work that's applicable to our industry, like in classes. I'm sure you've drafted a press release, wrote a paper, or wrote an article on something relevant to PR, whether it's the industry or a specific aspect of it. I think these are all important ways to showcase kind of your abilities and how you can craft different types of pieces. And I think I do have one more tip, because I wasn't good at this at first. And that would be, it's kind of cheesy, but don't be afraid to fail. Because our work is super creative. I'm creative in the sense where, I mean, it's creative. We're making it up. It's subject to a lot of different opinions or responses, whether it's from clients or from the media. While we may be proud of the work that we do, as we should, it may not be aligned with kind of how the client feels about it or how the media responds to it. But regardless, it's all a good learning experience. So being resilient in that, taking feedback, and kind of adapting and responding to make improvements is kind of the best way to show you're a strong listener and that you can respond well to the criticism.
That advice is great for future students. I definitely think people will utilize that in the future and take that note, especially the one where, building a portfolio is important, and, the work that we do at Rutgers does transfer over into the professional world. So lastly, is like a fun question. Could you describe your job in 3 words?
Yes, I can. I could do it in a lot more words, but going down to 3, first one, creative, always doing something new. Second, multifaceted, a lot of different aspects to what we do. And the third is strategic. Everything we do takes a nice strategic approach and needs some long thinking to accomplish the goal.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for joining me today, Dylan. This advice will definitely be helpful for students and starting their career.
Thanks, Lane. I appreciate it.